This is Mac OS Ken.
Making a tough compare tougher, fun and unfun with semiconductors, and a high school plan that can't be beat. It is Monday, the 21st of June, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Ladder, smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by Headspace, meditation made simple. How cool would it be if there were a pocket-sized guide that helped you sleep better, focus better, and feel better? Get ready to be happy. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. Meditations cover the kinds of things you might expect, dealing with stress, dealing with anger, as well as things that might surprise you, like mindfulness around eating and money. There are programs to help you succeed, programs to help you sleep, and it's all as close as your phone. You've heard me say how much I like the walking meditations and how much I've gotten out of the basics programs. They're sort of like a mindfulness foundation on which you can build. Whether you're looking for that, looking to deal with a particular issue, or just looking for SOS meditations to pull you out of a mood, the Headspace app can help anytime, anywhere. You deserve to feel happier, and Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/macOSKen. That's headspace.com/macOSKen for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. This is the best deal offered right now. Head to headspace.com/macOSKen today. You know what makes an even tougher compare than 2021 versus 2020? Letting Goldman Sachs analyst Rod Hall pick the comparable year. Amid a dip in the Chinese smartphone market, says a piece from Apple Insider, Goldman Sachs says the current iPhone shipments in China are 12% lower than the iPhone X series, bucking talk of a supercycle. Because I guess you get to just do that? I mean, in fairness, we have talked about some analysts' argument that 2021 numbers should be compared not to 2020, but to 2019, since that was the last year that was anything like normal. Sort of makes sense, but you got to figure the year immediately after a completely abnormal year is going to be abnormal too. But how are we going back 3.5 years for a comparison? Because that was the last real iPhone redesign before iPhone 12, according to Hall. Now let's back up a tiny bit. The recent numbers on which Hall is basing his argument are the May numbers released by the state-run China Academy of Information and Communications Technology. Looking at those, Apple Insider says the September to May aggregate unit count comes in at 38 million units, which compares favorably to the 31 million units for the same period in 2018 to 2019 and 2019 to 2020. Even Hall acknowledges that last month's estimated iPhone shipments in China of 3.8 million were up 1 million units from May of 2020. That's growth, and growth, unless you cherry pick from a time to support your usual sky is falling thesis. Quoting Hall's note, it is now difficult to dispute the lack of an iPhone supercycle in China, with aggregate units down materially over the iPhone X redesign. This data also challenges the assumption that global iPhone replacement cycles have stabilized, as it clearly implies lengthening replacements in China, despite growth over the past 2 years. Hall has a neutral rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $130. More than worth noting, Hall is not the only analyst to see the China Academy of Information and Communications Technology numbers, though. Of the 3 write-ups I've seen on the analyst reactions, he is the only one to have seen anything negative for iPhone. I told you Friday of JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee's take on the numbers. Indications he saw were that Apple continues to gain market share in the region and that the smartphone market in China has slowed down broadly, except for in the case of Apple. Chatterjee has a buy rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $165. Reading the numbers in a similar vein is Evercore analyst Amit Daryanani. Philip Elmer-DeWitt's Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote last week. In it, he sees the same slowdown for China's smartphone market overall and the same acceleration for iPhone. According to his note, the data point shows sustained iPhone strong growth out of China despite a softer overall smartphone market. Furthermore, we expect growth to remain strong for Apple in the June quarter and beyond as the company benefits from a trifecta of iPhone growth in North America. That's because of stimulus plus reopening, ecosystem expansion, and monetization of Apple's install base. Daryanani has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $175. A story I am not stoked to do for a couple of reasons. One, it kind of doesn't matter as far as Apple's concerned, and two, its original source is Digitimes. But it's math, and it's interesting, so I'll make it brief. Apple Silicon is driving down Intel's computer market share as the headline from Cult of Mac based on the Digitimes story. And it makes sense because math. Apple computers were powered by Intel. Apple is transitioning to computers powered by Apple Silicon. The further we get into that transition, the fewer Intel chips in Macs, leading to a loss of share for Intel. Sources speaking to Digitimes expect Intel's notebook market share to drop below 80% in 2023. That is thanks to the 10% controlled by AMD and the 10% that will be controlled by Apple Silicon. Could be another year before the semiconductor shortage is a thing of the past. Mac Daily News highlights numbers from Gartner that show the shortage continuing until the second quarter of 2022. In the meantime, stuff that can be built could be more costly. A principal analyst at Gartner is quoted in the piece saying the semiconductor shortage will severely disrupt the supply chain and will constrain the production of many electronic equipment types in 2021. Foundries are increasing wafer prices, and in turn, chip companies are increasing device prices. The problem isn't just the semiconductors. If I'm reading the Gartner thing correctly, the world's not just short on processors, but also the stuff to make them. According to Gartner, the chip shortage started primarily with devices such as power management, display devices, and microcontrollers fabricated on legacy nodes at 8-inch foundry fabs, which have a limited supply. The shortage is now extended to other devices, and there are capacity constraints and shortages for substrates, wire bonding, passives, materials, and testing, all of which are parts of the supply chain beyond chip fabs. These are highly commoditized industries with minimal flexibility and capacity to invest aggressively on a short notice. While the issue is complex, encouraging others to throw money at the problem probably wouldn't hurt. For that, we turn to the U.S. Senate. Engadget says the Facilitating American-Built Semiconductors Act would provide companies with a 25% tax credit when they invest in domestic semiconductor manufacturing equipment and facilities. More news in a moment, but first a word from Ladder. Smart, dynamic term life insurance. Because who doesn't want to start the week talking about life insurance, right? Here's the thing. You go to work to provide for your family. Food, clothing, shelter, cars, college, weddings. There's a lot riding on you. And you can handle it. As long as you're here. Now, nobody wants to talk about what would happen if you weren't here. But what if you weren't here? That's why people get life insurance, especially term coverage, which is surprisingly affordable. why not pay a bit each month to protect the ones you love? If you're asking yourself that question, choose Ladder. Ladder makes it impressively fast and easy to get covered. You just need a few minutes and a phone or a laptop to apply. Ladder's smart algorithms work in real time, so you'll find out instantly if you're approved and how much various levels of coverage will cost. There are no hidden fees, and you can cancel at any time. So check out Ladder today to see if you're instantly approved. Go to ladderlife.com/MacOSKen. That's LADDER, ladderlife.com/MacOSKen, ladderlife.com/MacOSKen. Apple's got updates for the movie makers out there. Apple Insider says the Cupertino company on Friday released updates for iMovie, Final Cut Pro, Compressor, and Motion. According to the report, iMovie 10.2.4 for the Mac adds 16 new backgrounds, a mixture of solid and textured images, which can be used within videos. It also fixes an issue that stopped the Mac version from importing videos from the iOS app iMovie 2.3. So now it can start. Final Cut Pro 10.5.3 adds stability improvements plus a handful of new features, including adding the ability to create and edit column volumes, plus there are improved options for sorting clips. Motion 5.5.2 and Compressor 4.5.3 both bring stability improvements with notification changes and embedded audio descriptions for Compressor. The updates are all free for existing users, and they are all available now in the Mac App Store. Whatever you do, don't try to join the network called %P, %S, 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 %N. That'll bust the Wi-Fi on your iPhone, according to a report from Engadget. That report pulls on reports from Bleeping Computer and Apple Insider. They both have security researcher Carl Schau indicating that giving your network an SSID like the one mentioned a moment ago will mess up your iPhone's ability to access Wi-Fi. Like, it won't be able to. At least not until you reset your network settings in Settings. While no one has said for sure why that messes up Wi-Fi, one of the articles has a hunch. According to Engadget, Bleeping Computer speculated that it might be a string formatting flaw. Simply put, iOS might confuse the percentage entries with programming commands and variables. Schau noted that he regularly uses names like this to mess with poorly developed devices. He tested the bug with iOS 14.4.2, but it was still a problem as of iOS 14.6. Target is offering extended free trials of a few Apple services. Apple Insider says the U.S. retailer is giving members of its Target Circle loyalty program extended trials of Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, and, kind of surprisingly, storage in iCloud. Folks in the Circle can have 6 months of free Apple Arcade service, with 4 months for the other services mentioned. Now the bad news. This is a promotional offer, not a game of hopscotch. That is to say, the offer is only for people who have not tried the services. Apple users who have already tried out the services with a free trial won't be able to redeem the offer, according to the report. YouTube is opening picture-in-picture for all iOS users. Mac Rumors has the video search engine saying that it's rolling the functionality out first to premium members, then to everybody else. Quoting YouTube's super short statement, Picture-in-Picture allows users to watch YouTube videos in a small mini player while simultaneously browsing outside of the YouTube app on their mobile device. We're starting to roll out Picture-in-Picture for YouTube Premium members on iOS and plan to launch it for all US iOS users as well. In its piece on the announcement, Cult of Mac wondered whether that would also be true for iPad OS. The cult points out that the statement makes no mention of iPad, but many companies treat iOS as a synonym for iOS and iPad OS. It's possible that's what's happening here. Of course, it's also possible that it's not. I guess we'll find out. Here's a headline that just doesn't make sense. The headline I'm referring to, from Cult of Mac, says Beats co-founders Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine are starting a public high school. It's that public part that makes it not make sense. I thought governments and municipalities started public schools and rich people started private schools. And yet, citing a piece from the Los Angeles Times, the cult says the former Apple execs, once Apple bought Beats, are working to transform a public high school to welcome pupils who feel disconnected from or unmotivated by the typical school experience. So, not so much starting a school as restarting one. The two have selected an LA school with steep enrollment declines, currently operating at about 1/3 capacity. The kids who are there aren't doing great. The LA Times says students at the school are struggling academically with just 5% at grade level in math. What are the two men going to do? Well, a version of something they've done before. The report says the high school will attempt to mirror the format of a program Iovine and Dre started at the University of Southern California back in 2013. Quoting the Los Angeles Times, the new project is not a music school, but intended as an incubator of entrepreneurial and silo-busting talent, where students will learn to work in teams to address real-world challenges. A university-level prototype exists at USC, where students have tackled projects presented to them by medical centers and private companies. Iovine and Dre will put an unspecified amount of money into the project. The school will be renamed, though that name is also unspecified at this time. Whatever the program will be, it'll kick off in the fall of 2022. And finally today, from Space Gray to Space Ghost, a line of Mac accessories has disappeared. Mac Rumor says Apple has officially stopped selling its darker than gray, but not quite black line of accessories that were pretty much made for iMac Pro. Of course, Apple stopped making iMac Pro. Now 3 months later, the Space Gray Magic Keyboard with numeric trackpad, Magic Mouse 2, and Magic Trackpad 2 are no more, as are the product pages that promoted them. They're still available in silver, though. They also come in a fun range of colors matching the M1 iMacs Apple introduced in April, but you kind of have to buy one of those iMacs to get them. Apple has not yet made these accessories available for purchase on a standalone basis, according to Mac Rumors. Coming up in a few minutes, NosillaCast Podcast's Allison Sheridan joins us this week. Retail makes strange bedfellows. The possibility of iPhone being sold in LG stores is news to Allison. This show is called In a Few Minutes. Find it and listen wherever you find and listen to podcasts. macOS Can, brought to you by me and sponsored by Headspace. Meditation made simple. Get a free 1-month trial at headspace.com/macOScan. This show is also sponsored by Ladder, smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOScan. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. info@macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Can. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.